In a crowded city where the streets never seemed to sleep, where the noise of jeepneys mixed with laughter and chatter, there lived a young Filipino boy named Eli, a boy whose voice carried a kind of magic he didn't fully understand, a magic that lived quietly inside him, waiting for one moment, one chance to finally be heard. Every morning, Eli would walk through the busy market, with his worn-out slippers, weaving between stalls of fresh fruits, dried fish, and colorful clothes. He would hum little melodies to himself, melodies he had learned from old radios, from passing shops, from people singing karaoke late at night. But there was one song, one classic song, that lived in his heart more than any other. Hotel California, the song he had heard, echoing from an old bar near the coast, where he sometimes sat outside just to listen. Eli's family didn't have much. They lived in a small wooden home beside a narrow alley. The kind of alley where neighbors talked from window to window, where kids played with homemade toys, where the smell of cooking rice and fried eggs drifted from almost every house. Although they struggled, although life was heavy and often uncertain, Eli always found comfort in music. He would sit on a broken step just outside his home, close his eyes and imagine himself on a big stage. A real stage one with bright lights, echoing sound systems, and thousands of eyes watching him. He didn't dream of fame for money or attention. He dreamed of it because he wanted to make his mother smile. He wanted to give her that moment where she could look at him and feel proud beyond words. One afternoon, while Eli was singing softly near the market, a man carrying a large camera stopped and listened. The man looked surprised, almost confused, as if he couldn't believe the voice coming from this small, shy boy. Eli didn't notice the man at first. He was lost in his song, in the emotion he poured into the lyrics. But when he finally opened his eyes, the man walked closer and said, "Kid, you have something very special." The man introduced himself as part of a well-known online talent scouting team that filmed street performances. He asked Eli if he would be willing to join an audition for a major talent show happening in Manila, an audition that could change his life. Eli hesitated, not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't think he deserved such a big opportunity. He felt too small, too ordinary. But the man assured him, "Your voice deserves to be heard. People need to hear you." And after a few moments, Eli agreed when he told his mother about the invitation. She hugged him tightly, tears filling her eyes, not from sadness, but from a mix of pride, hope, and fear. She knew the world outside their neighborhood was big, unforgiving, unpredictable. But she also knew her son deserved a chance to shine. So she said, "Anik, give your heart to the song and let the world hear who you are." The day of the audition arrived, and Manila was overwhelming for Eli. Tall buildings, endless traffic, hundreds of people rushing everywhere. His heart raced as he stepped into the audition venue. The hall was filled with hopefuls, singers warming up, dancers practicing routines, parents encouraging their children, some people already crying from nerves, others full of excitement. Eli, dressed in a simple shirt and jeans, held on to the strap of his small backpack. When his number was called, he walked onto the stage. The judges looked at him gently. One of them asked, "What's your name, sweetheart?" He answered softly, "I'm Eli Poe," his voice barely above a whisper. They asked what song he would sing, and when he said Hotel California, the audience stirred, some surprised, some curious, because it was not an easy song, not a song people usually choose in competitions. The music started, a soft instrumental filling the hall. But before he even sang the first line, something incredible happened. The room fell almost silent, as if everyone sensed something was about to happen. Something rare, something unforgettable. Then Eli opened his mouth and began to sing. His voice was not loud, but it was pure smooth, filled with emotion and honesty. Each word carried weight, each note carried a story. He sang with the kind of depth that usually belonged to old souls, to people who had lived through heartbreak, joy, loss, and hope. His voice echoed across the stage like a gentle wave, a wave that slowly grew into something powerful, something that wrapped around everyone listening. The judges leaned forward, their eyes wide. One judge placed a hand over her heart. Another tilted his head, completely stunned. The audience, which had been restless moments before, now sat frozen, their eyes fixed on the small boy, standing at the center of the stage. As Eli reached the chorus, his voice rose, still gentle, but filled with an intensity that sent shivers through the crowd. It wasn't just a performance. It was a story, a confession, a moment of truth. Every line he sang seemed to come from a place inside him where memories of struggle, loneliness, hope, and dreams all lived together. Some people wiped their tears quietly. Others openly cried, even security guards by the exit, who had been uninterested earlier, now stood still, their eyes softening as they listened. By the time Eli reached the final part of the song, the audience could feel it, the judges could feel it, even Eli could feel it. This was not just good, this was extraordinary. This was the kind of performance that only happens once in a long time, the kind that leaves an imprint on everyone who hears it as the last note left his lips. A long silence filled the hall, not because people were unimpressed, but because they were overwhelmed, unable to move, unable to breathe, unable to break the moment that had just unfolded before them. Then suddenly one of the judges stood up, tears streaming down her face. She slammed her hand on the golden buzzer. The loud sound echoed like a firework. Golden confetti burst from above, raining down on the stage, on Eli, on the judges who were now standing applauding, crying, smiling. Eli froze, his eyes widening as the confetti fell around him. He looked like a child, caught in a dream he never believed could come true. He covered his mouth with his hand, shaking, tears forming in his eyes. He couldn't move, he couldn't speak. His heart felt too full, too overwhelmed. The judge who had hit the golden buzzer walked up to the stage, her voice trembling as she spoke to him. She said, "Eli, you don't understand how special you are. Your voice touched us in a way we can't explain. You sang with your soul, with your heart, with everything you are, and the world needs to hear you." Eli's mother, who had been watching from backstage, rushed forward, pulling him into a tight hug. Both of them crying, both of them shaking from the shock and joy of the moment. She whispered into his ear, "Anik, you did it. You made them feel your heart." The audience rose to their feet, giving him a long standing ovation. People cheering, clapping, some calling out his name, others simply crying because they had experienced something so raw and beautiful. The judges continued praising him, telling him that his voice was pure emotion, that his future was bright, that he had something rare and powerful, something that couldn't be taught, something that came from the soul. Backstage interviewers gathered around him, asking him how he felt, and Eli, still overwhelmed, said softly, "I just wanted to sing for my mom. I just wanted to make her proud." And that simple sentence made everyone emotional again, because it wasn't about fame or attention. It was about love, effort, dreams. The clip of his performance was uploaded online, and within hours it went viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments, people from all around the world sharing how his voice touched their hearts, how they cried listening to him, how they felt his sincerity even through their screens. News channels talked about him. Radio stations replayed his performance. Music coaches reacted to his audition with amazement. Fans created edits of his singing, and people across different countries began searching for more about him, wanting to support this humble, talented Filipino boy. But even as fame grew around him, Eli stayed the same kind. Humble, quiet, still singing on the same steps outside his home, still helping his mother with chores, still greeting neighbors with a gentle smile. The only difference was that now, opportunities were opening. Doors he never imagined would appear, and his dreams were no longer far away when he returned to his neighborhood. People ran to him, hugging him, cheering for him. Kids gathered around, shouting. Eli and Gail and Mo mothers wiped tears from their eyes, saying how proud they were of him. Everyone felt like his victory was their victory too, because he represented them, their struggles, their stories, their hopes. That night, as he lay on his small bed staring at the ceiling, tired but full of joy, he thought about the journey that had brought him here, from singing in the streets to standing on a national stage covered in golden confetti. He knew the road ahead would be long, maybe challenging, maybe full of surprises. But for the first time in his life, he felt truly seen, truly heard, and truly hopeful, and with that hope, he closed his eyes, humming gently, smiling softly, knowing that sometimes just one song, one moment, one golden chance can change everything. And for Eli, that moment came when he poured his soul into Hotel California, and the world listened.